Welcome to another episode of Eat, Smoke, Drink. Today I am reviewing a closed distillery called the GlenEsk. A little background on the GlenEsk is it was used predominantly for the VAT 69 blends. So VAT 69, very common, but obviously as the distillery has been closed for a while, they slowly transition to a different ingredient in that VAT 69. So if you get a VAT 69 in the 90s and 80s versus a VAT 69 today, it'll be a very different VAT 69. So they actually call that flavor creep. They have to accustom the palate bit by bit to a new blend, and so they do it bit by bit every year, every bottle, every blend, and it slowly but surely adjusts your palate. So but anyway, GlenEsk, look, like any of the closed distilleries, when it first comes out, no one gives a shit about it. But then as it closes and then time goes by, everyone makes a fuss. You're probably thinking then, is it worth the fuss? I think it is. The reason why is it's an older style whiskey. It transports you back in time, and they always say that, to a different era of distillation, flavor, and less industrialization than it is today. Today it's all about mass market. Today it's all about pumping it out as much as physically possible, and in my opinion, to the detriment of drinking experience and flavor. It's good on the nose, it's good on the mid palate, but nothing interesting about it. But this one is interesting. It's a closed distillery. Let's get nosing. Immediately you get hit with a sooty smoke on the nose, like a distant coal fire. Slightly floral, slightly fruity, very slightly fruity, but more floral. Black pepper on the nose and green pepper as well, like a fresh green pepper. When it comes to those pods and you put on your steak sauce. But the smoke is very, very prevalent. I wouldn't say peat, definitely smoke. Like a soot carbon smoke. Slightly nutty. Pistachios, apricot, dried apricot, and unripe apricot. And it smells very powdery, like almost like a talc. It's got a bit of cinnamon spice, cloves, aniseed. Spice is a very strong theme, spice and smoke. I'm using the blender's glass. I find that it lets me get that nose much better. But you do have to get used to it. It can be quite a powerful glass. But the nose is gorgeous. It's very strange. Spice and smoke is not something that, is very common. When you keep nosing it, you start to get cotton candy and a white sugar syrup. And a very distant smell of plastic, like a plasticine. Cellophane. Shall I say cellophane? I'll correct that. Cellophane. A very, very faint hint of rubber as well, but not too much. Just a very faint hint. You've got to really look for it. And wet soil. I think that's what I'm getting now. Wet soil is also starting to come through. The whiskey itself is a nice oily dram. Nice legs forming there. Let's get sipping. And that is a bizarre whiskey. Like I said, an era can't have these kind of flavors anymore. It's not the uber palatable that everyone looks for, that's quaffable. But man, it is very, very different and is very interesting. Smoky, spicy, black pepper, definitely black pepper, slightly creamy. And what's interesting about it is only 43%, and I always bitch and moan about 43%. This whiskey is by all means not smooth, and that's what I love about it. 43%, it packs a punch. And I am surprised at the complexity and body and the weight of the mouthfeel of this whiskey at 43%. You know what? I'll say it now, it'll be better at 46 or 48, but at 43, hey, first world problems right there. Man, the finish is actually quite long for such a low ABV. Dirty soil, wet soil, mud, a hint of rubber right in the back end, like, you know, when you take out your flippers from the, you know, from the storage box, because you know what, most people don't really use their flippers. It's sitting there, it's got a little bit of dampness to it, it's got that rubber, it's got that faint hint of smoke. Definitely a coal smoke, I'm not getting too much peat, but a coal smoke, wood fire, you know, like when you've just doused a wood fire on the beach, or on the soil, shall I say soil, and you get that heat, soil, you get that water, smoke, wood, charcoal, and that fire. I'm not getting much sweetness, just a quick hit of sweetness and it disappears. It's very spicy, relatively savory, aniseed, nutmeg, cloves is definitely a flavor that I'm getting. Right on the back palate, I'm getting licorice, tarragon licorice. So very much a not super sweet whiskey. Delicious whiskey. And it's weird, it's a bit of an oxymoron. It is delicate, but it's not delicate. So the flavors are everlasting. The mouthfeel, it's lasting in my mouth, and every sip progresses into more and more intense oiliness. But it's not overpowering either. That's a low ABV probably. I'm getting, I know that sounds weird, but around the last sip, I'm getting like an old cardboard, old paper. You know, when you have old books in a chest and it sits there for years, and you open it, you take a book out, and it just smells like that old dusty paper, the old paper smell. It's got that right on the finish before the oiliness just starts to take over. So my conclusion, is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it. It's a closed distillery, it's time travel. I mean, everyone wants to time travel. It's super interesting, and all out, it's a hell of an experience. What cigar pairings would I have with this? That's a tough one. I think that if you put a cigar with this, it'll actually mix it up too much. I actually don't think you should pair a cigar with this. I think you should smoke this before a cigar. If anything, I would match chocolate with this. I would match a dark chocolate with it. I think that'll be delicious. A dark chocolate, or actually a dark chocolate, something that's doesn't have much sugar in it, slightly bittersweet. I reckon this will pair very nicely with that, but not a cigar. A cigar will drown it very quickly, because like I said, it is relatively delicate. Yeah, look, that's my conclusion on it, and I think it's fantastic. Have you had many GlenEsks before? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know your thoughts on GlenEsk. Yeah, I mean, hell of an experience. Oh yeah, and I want to thank Craig as well. Thank you for lending me the bottle. I appreciate it, as always. Cheers, and until next time, make sure you eat, smoke, drink. Not a doctor.